This is one of your hosts, Chad Bauman. With me, as usual, my partner, Trey. Today is August 4th, Sunday afternoon. Trey, what's going on?
Not much, Chad. Football's back. I know you're excited. It's the only sport you care about. So the lead word is in full swing here. Got some good shows coming up. Do a little division preview stuff. Hit some fantasy stuff. I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah. I've been waiting for football season to come back since football season ended. So I don't agree that football is the only sport that I like. I have a lot of interest in a lot of sports. I love basketball. I just don't love it as much as I love football.
And then the list ends at basketball.
I appreciate baseball. I appreciate it.
All right.
I don't actively root for the Phillies, but I hope they do well from afar.
All right, let's get started. We're going to do the NFC today. Chad, let's get right to your backyard. Overall impressions on the NFC East. What do you have for us?
I think this is a two-dog race. And one of the dogs has come out limping out of the gate to start the season off. Honestly, go at the end of last year, at the end of the draft, free agency, it's between the Eagles and the Cowboys. I said this on Heavyweight Hot Takes. When the Madden ratings came out, they're built very similarly. The Eagles have a lot of advantages on the Cowboys. The Cowboys have some advantages on the Eagles, namely running back being one. Cowboys linebackers I'd take over the Eagles every day of the week. Pains me to say that, by the way. But, I mean, overall, I think the Eagles just have a more complete roster. Now, add in the fact that Zeke is in, like, Cabo or something right now. He's not even at training camp. They have all these issues getting Dak paid. If you're not picking the Eagles to win the division, you might be mentally defective. I question your sanity if you really think that Washington or like the Giants or the Cowboys are going to win the division after all this is going on. It's Eagles hands down.
Hail to the king, baby.
So I'm going to give you a pretty interesting stat here, Chad. Since 2004, no team in the NFC East has repeated as division champ. Not since 2004. And the last time that happened was the Andy Reid Eagles. Last year, Dallas won the division. Everybody's riding high on Dallas. People are way too low on Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia is going to steamroll through this division. I think people forget how good Carson Wentz is. It's unbelievable how many people say, oh, you know, Carson Wentz, we don't know if he's better than Nick Foles. The dumbest possible statement you can make as a human. I'll take Doug Peterson over Jason Garrett any day of the week. The Eagles' weapons, sort of similar. Offensive lines, comparable. Defensive lines, I would take Philly. Linebackers, Dallas. Secondary, I would probably lean towards Philly because of the depth they have. But at the end of the day, you're not going to take Dak Prescott to beat a healthy Carson Wentz in a consecutive season. It's just not going to happen. Like, people forget the NFL. It's not linear. It's roller coasters. Jacksonville goes to the AFC Championship game. Then they get last. Then it'll be good again. Then they'll get last. And then it'll be good again. Then they'll get last. Dallas went from last to first. From last to first. They're not going to beat Philadelphia this year.
By the way, just to add to something you just mentioned, Dak Prescott has never beaten a healthy Carson Wentz because last year he had the back injury. So
I think Philadelphia is going to steamroll through the division. I think they might have the most talented roster in the league. I don't love their linebackers. Everything else, they're good.
Yeah, I agree. Again, that's why I definitely give the linebackers to Dallas. I mean, if Zeke plays, they win running back too. But, I mean, don't sleep on the Eagles running backs. I think they got a lot of talent in that running back room. I mean, Jordan Howard hasn't played for us yet, but he's a good guy. He's a good running back. There's a reason why he had such high rushing totals his first 3 years with the Bears. That didn't happen on accident. again, our wide receiver core, I think we probably have the best group of wide receivers, not individually in the league, but as a receiving group, we probably have the best group of wide receivers. Alshon Jeffrey, he's going to win jump balls for you. Deshaun Jackson can still run with the best of them. And Nelson Aguilar, he's still dangerous in the slot. So, I mean, pick your poison. Cover one of those guys and let my guy Zach Ertz go to work in the in-between areas. Dallas Goedert is in there too. So I'm excited. I think last year Carson tried to do too much coming back. This year, all he has to do is deliver the football. That's all he has to do.
I think, let's hear your thoughts on this. I think the most important unit for the Eagles is the secondary, because last year it was really beat up. They did an okay job. Last year it was really beat up, but heading into year 2, you think Avonte Maddox, maybe he takes the leap. Sidney Jones, maybe he gets better. Malcolm Jenkins, can he still be a top safety? Can Rodney McLeod recover from his injury? This secondary is very interesting, Chad.
You're right. It's an important group, again, especially after all the injuries they had last season. But I don't want to say it's the most important group, because I honestly think at the end of the day, what's going to win the Eagles games is not going to be their defense. They have a great defense. What's going to win this team games is it's ultimately going to be their offense, and that's all going to be driven by Carson Wentz. It's so important to keep Carson Wentz upright. It's going to be so important to give him a running game that he can rely on. What's really lost in all of last year with all the injuries they had and the issues with Nick Foles coming in and everything like that, their running game fell off significantly from the Super Bowl year to last year. It felt like they couldn't buy yardage in the running game. So it's really going to be important for their offensive line to get a push up front to protect Carson, give him some time, because he got blasted when he first came back to start the season after taking over from Nick Foles. And when Foles came in after Carson went down with the back injury late in the season, Foles was getting blasted. I cannot stress to you enough how important it is to keep Nate Sudfeld off the field.
No! God, please, no! No!
Another thing, Andre Dillard, you know he's going to play at some point. It's only a matter of time before Jason Peters, he's going to miss at least one game. You know it's going to happen. So the Dillard pick is another very important thing for the Eagles.
I agree. Again, I love Jason Peters. If he wasn't so old, he'd probably be our star on the line. But like you said, as it is, he's going to go down at some point. I don't remember. I honestly can't tell you the last time he made it through an entire season. I truly don't remember him playing an entire 16 game season. I can't remember I really just can't draw on a blank when the last time that was. So yeah, I think Dillard is going to get a shot at some point this season, and there's a reason why they finally drafted a guy, because, I mean, unfortunately, Jason Peters is just becoming unreliable at this point.
Let's dive into the Cowboys then, unless you have anything else to add on Philadelphia.
Nope.
All right, so I think the most interesting thing to talk about with the Cowboys is their contract situation. Zeke wants a new contract. Amari Cooper's a free agent next year. Dak Prescott's a free agent next year. Byron Jones a free agent next year. Jalen Smith up in 2 years. All of a sudden, Leighton Vander Esch is going to need a new deal at some point. They got a lot of guys to pay, Chad. What would your priority list be? What would you do?
I mean, to be honest with you, you did a post about this a while ago. Their priority has to be Zeke. I mean, they've backed themselves into a corner because they built their team around their running back, which, I mean, if this was like 1980 or 1990, that'd be fine. Build it around your running game. But it's not. It's 2019. You cannot build around the running game.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
I think you've been calling Zeke Elliott the best back in the league. I think that's a little bit too far, but that could be just a little bit biased coming through. You can't build around your running back, and if you do, you shoot yourself in the foot, because now you got to pay your quarterback. Imagine if Seattle had built their team around Marshawn Lynch, and then when Russell Wilson came up, it was like, oh, well, sorry, Russ, we can't pay you now.
They're totally backed into a corner, because remember, even before they drafted Zeke, for years and years and years, we're going to draft Tyron Smith in the first round. We're going to draft Zach Martin in the first round. We're going to draft Travis Frederick in the first round. We're going to take Connor Williams in the second round. We're going to sign La'el Collins, who should have been a first-round pick. Then they just drafted another guard in the second round, Connor McGovern. They spent years trying to build this offensive line, and it was for a running back. Because when they drafted Zeke, the offensive line was in place. They didn't know what Dak Prescott was going to be. This running game and this offensive line was built for Zeke. And Zeke is the only running back in the NFL that makes the offense go. He's the entire key to Dallas, because even when you look at how many minutes the Cowboys defense plays per game, they stink when they're on the field for 30 minutes a game. They're very good when they're on the field for 25 minutes a game. When Zeke can move the chains and keep the defense off the field, that's when Dallas is very dangerous. When Zeke gets his carries, that's when Dallas is really dangerous. When Zeke gets 19 carries a game, they basically don't lose. That's with Dak Prescott. When Zeke rushes for 100 yards, they basically don't lose. They need to keep Zeke Elliott. Need to.
I mean, let's be honest. Outside of bringing in Amari Cooper last year, past 3 or 4 years, this team has been the same team, to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
And when they didn't have Zeke, the whole thing fell apart.
That 6-game stretch when he was suspended, they were screwed.
Right. When he was suspended, they ended up with the 4th overall pick. There's a reason for that. You can't put all your eggs in the running back basket. Not in 2019.
They're screwed without him. If he doesn't show up, they're done. It's over.
Wait, he's not even in the country now. He's in Macau.
I can't even laugh because my Help Fantasy team goes to shit.
Yeah, $69. Good pickup with that. Hope you get a lot of bang for your buck this year.
Here's the other thing that I wanted to talk about. We don't have to talk about Dallas anymore. I don't care what Dak Prescott asked for. I'm not paying him. I would offer him, and I know this is like a slap in the face, he can take $10 million a year, or he can see you. I would not pay him. He is Alex Smith. I don't give Alex Smith $30 million a year. In 3 consecutive seasons, Dak Prescott has thrown for 23 touchdowns, then 22 touchdowns, then 22 touchdowns. He's never thrown for 4,000 yards.
What are you doing? You're acting like a girl out there. What are you, a girl or something?
Every single one of those years, he's rushed for exactly 6 touchdowns a year. We know what Dak Prescott is. He is basically Alex Smith without Andy Reid. I can't pay that guy. He can take $10 million or he can fucking get lost.
I mean, I agree. I don't know. $10 million, yeah. What's Brady making? Like 12 and a half mil with the new extension that he signed? I give him that. If he's too good for that, then kick rocks.
I agree. I wouldn't even franchise him. I would collect the 3rd round pick. Dallas, and let's be honest about this. Can Dallas win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott as their quarterback?
It's possible with Zeke.
It's possible. I don't think it is possible.
It's possible. I think it is possible.
I think there's a real ceiling to how good Dallas can be. If everything breaks right for them, they can be what they were last year. I think everything fell into place for them last year. They can win 1 playoff game. That's it.
I disagree. I think if they have Zeke and everything's going their way defensively, they can win a Super Bowl. But if everything does not go their way defensively, then no, they're screwed. I'm not saying it's a large percentage possibility. If they can get into the playoffs, I'd say they probably have like a 15% chance. An outside shot. A puncher's chance.
So what if Dak Prescott Joe Flacco's you?
What do you mean? Like, just shows out in the playoffs out of nowhere?
Contract year. Wins the Super Bowl. 12 touchdowns in the playoffs.
I like I said, the year the Cowboys win the Super Bowl, that's probably going to be my last year on Earth. I'm checking out. I couldn't listen to how the Cowboys won the 2019 Super Bowl for the next 30 years. I just couldn't do it.
All right, let's move on. We don't have to spend a whole lot of time. Giants, Redskins, anything stand out?
No, I honestly don't even think they're worth talking about.
You suck.
When does Dwayne Haskins and Daniel Jones see the field? How about that? And then we can move on.
Dwayne Haskins. I mean, he could be week 1. Who do they have at quarterback right now? They have
Colt McCoy, Case Keenum.
They got Keenum. I'll give Keenum until week 11.
Week 11.
They're gonna be out of it. They're not gonna be in it, but I don't think they're gonna shell shock the rookie. Case Keenum's gonna have till week 11.
I thought you were gonna say like week 4, week 5. That was gonna be my pick.
No, he's gonna have a longer shot, but I don't think they're as bad as the Giants. I think they're a very middle of the pack team, middle of the road team. So he'll have just long enough until they get eliminated from the playoffs, about week 11.
How about Daniel Jones? I don't think he plays at all this year.
Daniel Jones, Eli Manning. Yeah. For some reason, the Giants, they just don't want to move on from Eli.
Yep.
To be honest with you, they could trot Daniel Jones out there week 1 and we wouldn't know the difference.
You're probably right. All right, let's move on to the NFC North. Before we do that, let's give Chad a follow at Lilfooted, LILFWOTED. Check out the website, vendettasportsmedia.com. Follow on Facebook, Vendetta Sports. Follow on Twitter, media_Vendetta. Also, subscribe to the YouTube page. I'm going to try to do more videos like the one I did on Colin Cowherd. More gaming videos, so make sure to subscribe to the YouTube page too.
And follow Trey, at Trey Daubert. He forgot.
Yeah. Didn't even give myself credit. All right. NFC North. What's your overall impression there?
My overall impression is that I feel like they're exactly what they were last year.
They are who we thought they were.
Not a lot has changed, with the exception that Aaron Rodgers is another year older. Maybe we see more smoke and mirrors out of Chicago. Maybe the Vikings can pull it together with
Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins. There we go.
There you go.
But I mean, ultimately, I'm thinking.
You mean
Chicago.
you don't think the Lions will win the division?
No,
It's not going to happen.
not at all.
I was kidding.
I'm picking Chicago to repeat this one.
Okay. I have a surprise for you. I'm going to take Green Bay to win the division. I'm going to take Minnesota to get second. And I'm going to take Chicago to get third. My overall impression is I think Chicago takes a big step back. The difference between Vic Fangio and Chuck Pagano is going to be a big difference. I don't think Matt Nagy is going to be able to fool guys like he did last year. Chad, you watched that playoff game firsthand. You're telling me Trubisky's going to win the division with a lesser defense? I'm not buying it. And I don't know what the hell Matt LaFleur is going to do. I don't even know if he's qualified to be a head coach, but I know this. Aaron Rodgers can't be worse than he was last year. He's got to buy in a little bit, right? A little bit. I think the Vikings, Garrett Kubiak's in there. I think that makes a big difference. Full year Dalvin Cook. I think they're a little bit better. And I think Chicago takes a big step back. I'm talking 6-7 wins step back.
See, I'm not seeing that. Here's the reason why. Outside of Trubisky, I agree with you. Trubisky is the absolute liability again. That playoff game, it was like pulling teeth. If the Eagles somehow had been able to catch on defense, I don't know what, maybe they had like the size 12s on instead of the size 13s, meaning that they had feet for hands. I don't see how they don't win that game by more. Because Trubisky literally looked like he was actively throwing to the Eagles at the end of the second half.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 times in a row, hit Eagles players square in the numbers and they dropped it.
He can't beat you.
He won't. The problem is the rest of their their team, I think, is pretty talented. So, especially, I still think defensively, yeah, they may not have the same defensive coordinator, but that talent still talks. So, I don't think they're going to just completely drop off. I still think they have enough talent on that defense to win. And let's face it, like you said, we don't know what we're getting out of Matt LaFleur yet. And, I mean, he can't be any worse than Mike McCarthy because Mike McCarthy was stuck in like 2009, never got better with his schemes. But at the same time, the Packers, tell me where they got better.
I think they have some young defensive talent. I really do. I don't know what Rashawn Gary will bring to the table, but they've added a lot of draft picks. Remember that trade they made with the Saints for Marcus Davenport? They traded down, got a lot of picks. Darnell Savage, hopefully he turns into something. They just cut Mike Daniels, which sucks, but I think they're better defensively. Jair Alexander's a real corner. They got the other Iowa guy, Josh Jackson. They've really tried to beef up the secondary a little bit. They signed Adrian Amos from the Bears. I think they're trying.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of unproven guys in there. And at the end of the day, like I said, it may be a lesser scheme in Chicago, but they're still just as talented.
Oh, the talent level. Them and Minnesota are probably the best talent levels. Probably Chicago by a slight edge. But Minnesota's really talented.
I don't disagree. I just think that talent that Chicago has is going to talk. Matt Nagy is still going to be able to smoke and mirrors cover up for Mitch Trubisky somehow. And that defense is just going to keep rolling.
Are we sleeping on the Vikings? What if Gary Kubiak helps Kirk Cousins? What if he's 10% better? What if Dalvin Cook rushes for 1,500 yards?
I mean, I'm not sleeping on them, but again, I don't think Chicago's in for a big fall off like you do. I just don't see it happening.
All right. Maybe in 2 years when they have to pay him. Trubisky.
Probably. Maybe then, yeah.
Let's move on to the NFC South. We got the Panthers, Saints, Falcons, Bucks. What are your overall impressions there? What do you got for us? NFC South.
I don't know what the stat is on this. You mentioned with like the NFC East, like since 2004, the team that won the division the year before hasn't repeated as champion. But I feel like it's got to be a similar feel in the NFC South.
It used to be. New Orleans just won back-to-back years.
Okay, New Orleans, I forgot they won 2 years ago. I got to say, I think I'm still going with the favorite. You know what? My favorite this year, I was going to say New Orleans. I was really inclined to say them because they're bringing back a lot of pieces that they had last year. Alvin Kamara. Yeah, Alvin Kamara. They lost Mark Ingram, but I still think they got talent there. They picked up a back in the draft. Michael Thomas, they just paid him, but I still think he's going to come out and be the same player that he's always been. Plus, they have the always reliable Drew Brees. But my money I think this year is going to be on the Panthers.
Ooh.
I think they're going to get something going with McCaffrey again this year. Their defense, if it can stay healthy with Luke Kuechly, because he got hurt last year, and he's a big part of their defense. So when he goes down, they lose a lot as far as their signal calling is concerned. I think he's probably going to end up staying healthy. I think Cam puts it together with McCaffrey.
This, for me, is the hardest division for me to figure out because can Cam Newton give you another big year? You never know what you're getting with this guy week to week or year to year. Last year, remember, Carolina was 6-2. They missed the playoffs. What the hell happened?
I don't know. I remember because when they were 6-2, they beat the Eagles. And I was like, wow, Carolina's really good. And then Carolina ended up missing the playoffs, and I was like, can't believe we lost to Carolina. I gotta say though, I don't think there's gonna be a fall off. McCaffrey, I don't know if you've seen it, but he's gotten bigger.
Oh, he's humongous.
Who's your daddy now?
He hit the weight room hard in the offseason. So, I mean, I got to expect he's only going to get better. Hopefully, adding all that muscle didn't he didn't compromise his speed. But I can only assume that he's gotten better. They have a good defense, Carolina. It's not like they're a slouch in that department. I think, again, they had bad luck. Luke Kuechly went down last year. I think 3 teams in that division are really close. I think it's very close between Atlanta, the Saints, and Carolina. But I think Carolina just has a lot of X factors on offense.
I can see where you're coming from with Carolina. To me, they're the classic either-or team. If the passing game's on and Cam Newton can sling it, they could be very good. If he can't throw the ball again, and they don't have reliable targets to get open, they're not going to be very good again. The one team I'll disagree with you on, I think Atlanta sucks. Their defense is so bad that it's almost impossible for them to win. And they don't have a Kansas City offense. They can put up points. New offensive coordinator this year, Dirk Cutter, I don't think that's a very good thing. Their defense is horrendous. They were 28th in the league last year in points and yards allowed. You can't win like that with Matt Ryan.
No, I mean, I think no matter what, I think Atlanta's offense is good. Julio, Sanu, they have
Calvin
Ridley. Yep, they still got him. I still think it's a who's who you're going to cover when it comes to the wide receiving core. And I think Matt Ryan, he's not the greatest quarterback, but I think he's still good enough to get Julio the ball. And that's really all you need to do is just get Julio the ball and let him work. And everybody else is going to be open based on what Julio does.
This team has not been the same team since Kyle Shanahan left. They just haven't.
Well, I agree with that. I agree. But that's why I'm not
New Orleans, I like to win the division.
Like I said, I think I agree with you with what you said about Carolina. They'll be either way. But I think Carolina does have what it takes to pull out the division win. Like I said, I was actually leaning towards New Orleans before I decided last minute to switch up and go Carolina. But I think it'll be close. Also, I didn't mention this earlier, but for Carolina, it's going to depend on Greg Olsen. He got injured, season-ending injuries 2 years in a row now.
They do not have very many targets to rely on.
Not at all, but again, if Greg Olsen can stay healthy, I mean, again, that was a big cog in their offense that went down 2 years in a row. So
I think people are sleeping on Tampa Bay too. I really do. I think Tampa Bay, if everything goes their way, they could win 9 games. Am I out of my mind?
I don't want to say you're out of your mind because they do have talent in areas on their team, but I don't think they're there yet. I just don't think they're there yet.
Jameis Winston has to hit. The offensive line has to be better, but they have very good weapons. Ronald Jones has to hit. Their defense should be pretty good. Upgraded the secondary. They got some guys on that D-line. Devin White comes in as linebacker. Bruce Arians. They have a real head coach. Why can't they be better?
I think it's going to take some time to adjust to the coach. I think they'll be better than they were last year, but they're not contenders yet.
All right. Last division we're going to do for today. Next week we could do AFC. NFC West. Rams went to the Super Bowl last year. Seattle went to the playoffs last year. Chad, what do you have for the NFC West?
So for me, when it comes to the NFC West, I think they've been a very consistent division. With them, I think it's back to the Rams. I think outside of Jared Goff, they have the best talent in that division. I know you're high on San Fran, so I'll let you talk about them in a second. But I feel like outside of Jared Goff, The Rams have the best line. They have the best running back. If their wide receivers don't get hurt like they did last year, they have the best wide receivers. Their defense, they have the defensive MVP over there. They got a good secondary. It's not very deep, but they do have two very good starting corners. So I think they're tough. I think where they're lacking is their linebackers, but they were lacking last year in the linebacker department, and they still went to the Super Bowl.
All right, I'm going to start on mine. I think the Rams, Chad, you know this well. The Eagles did not start off well last year. That Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. I think the Rams take a little bit of a step back. I think that the Rams don't fucking set the world on fire with their offense again, that maybe they're 10th in total offense instead of first. I think that's reasonable.
Well, you said that last year.
I know. I know. But this Super Bowl hangover is a real thing. It's a very real thing. They lost two members on their offensive line. Jonathan Sullivan, see ya. Roger Saffold, see ya. And I know we all want to say Jared Goff's this great thing. When Todd Gurley went down last year, that guy sucked. And Todd Gurley's health, we still have no idea what we're getting from him. Do we have any idea what we're getting from Todd Gurley? If Todd Gurley's not 100% healthy, they're not the same team. They really aren't. That defense, I don't know what to make of them. Eric Weddle comes in. He's old. But this defense got torched at times last year. They really did. There were a few games last year. Philadelphia torched them down the stretch. There was a lot of games last year where this Rams defense got torched.
I'm not impressed by your performance.
First and second game against the Saints. Yep.
Yeah. So I think the Rams could take a little bit of a step back. I'm not saying last year they won 13 games. I think they could win 10, 9, 8. Something in that range.
I think they may drop off. I don't think they're going to win 13 games again, but I think 10's their magic number. They'll get 10 games. I think 10 gets you the division.
And this is where I'm going to disagree. I think this is the year San Francisco pops. San Francisco's going to hit this year. With San Francisco, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. I think this is the year San Francisco hits. Remember, people forget, when San Francisco first traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, they did not lose. They did not lose. When Jimmy Garoppolo was on that field with Kyle Shanahan, they were virtually unbeatable. If Garoppolo is healthy, and I got to think he's not going to go down 2 years in a row. Maybe he does. He stays healthy. That team can win 11, 12 games. They're a lot better defensively. Dee Ford comes in. Joey Bosa comes in. They already had DeForest Buckner. They already had Eric Armstead. They signed Quan Alexander to run the middle of the defense. They still got Richard Sherman. Their safeties are hit and miss. Jacoski Tart's okay. I think the Colorado corner they have is getting better. Defensively, they're a lot better. Offensively, George Kittle's a star. They got two bookend tackles, Joe Staley and Mike McGlinchey. Tevin Coleman was a nice pickup out of the running game. I think they're very greatly improved. Deebo Samuel's a receiver I really like. Dante Pettis was pretty good last year. They still got Marquise Goodwin, who's a deep threat. I think this is the year San Francisco hits. I really do.
I think they can eat. I think they'll be good. I think they'll be better than they were last year. But I don't know. I don't think they're quite there yet. Again, I know you're high on Deebo Samuel, but I'm waiting to see what they have there. I think Shanahan's going to pull out his normal magic. I think, him being really reunited with Tevin Coleman, that's big. Tevin Coleman went off when he was under Shanahan, so that is big for them. But there's a lot of young pieces on this team, and I think I think they're still going to need some experience. I think they got Dee Ford lining up off sides. They got to. They're going to make some mistakes, and I think it's going to cost them some games. I'm not saying they're going to be bad. It's going to be a good year for them. They're not going to be. I don't think they're going to be picking in the top 10 again this year, but they'll be in the hunt. They'll be in the hunt for the wild card spot. I do think they're going to be in the hunt, but I don't think they're ready to win the division just yet.
All right. I think this is the year. The over-under for their win total, I believe, is 8.5. I took the over.
Okay.
Last two teams. Seattle's roster sucks.
You suck.
Let's be honest. Russell Wilson carried them. I don't know how much further he can carry them. Now he doesn't have Doug Baldwin. Their offensive line still sucks. Tyler Lockett is literally their number one target with DK Metcalf.
Who I'm very excited for. By the way, DK Metcalf.
Who else do they have to throw the ball to?
They don't need anybody else. Just throw everybody to DK Metcalf. As far as I'm concerned.
They don't have a tight end. They don't have an offensive line. This defense, I know Pete Carroll's a good head coach, but what the hell do they have on the defensive side of the ball? Bobby Wagner and
bunch of guys they drafted last year.
And all of them were not that good.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I didn't pick Seattle to win the division. I don't see outside of Russell Westbrook, and
Pause.
that guy is he's magical.
Westbrook.
Oh my bad. Russell Wilson. My bad.
Yeah.
Outside of Russell Wilson, they don't, like you said, they don't have much. It's Russell Wilson just out there by himself, and I really feel bad for the guy because he's literally 2 years in a row now willed them into the playoffs.
By the way, Brian Schottenheimer is an absolute liability. His play calling is some of the most egregious stuff I've seen. You got to put the ball in that guy's hands, and he just doesn't do it.
Absolutely. He lost in the playoff game against Dallas.
Yep.
He's the reason why they lost. But Russell Westbrook.
Pause.
Westbrook again. I'm out of it, man. Russell Wilson. I don't know, man. This Seattle team the past few years, it's kind of been like when LeBron was first drafted by the Cavs and he was dragging them into the playoffs every year. That's how I feel like it is with Russell Wilson right now. Yeah. Just every year, he's just dragging the team behind him into the playoffs.
Pretty much. I don't think you can even criticize the guy for winning when he had that great defense because what he's done without it might be just as impressive.
That's why I wanted him in fantasy.
$64 later, no thanks.
Yeah. So, even though I still ended up spending a lot on a quarterback.
How about Arizona? Could they go on a little bit of a run and surprise people and come out with this weird offense that nobody knows what's going? Remember when Chip Kelly comes in the league and he starts rattling off wins and nobody can quite figure him out? Could Arizona do that for like 8 games? Nobody knows what the hell they're doing.
They're going to run the Wildcat. Let's call it what it is. That's what their offense is going to be this year. It's going to be the Wildcat with Lamar Murray or Murray, whichever.
Lamar Murray.
Yeah, they're just blending together at this point. The quarterbacks that can't throw the ball, they want to run.
That actually brings up a good point though, because Lamar Jackson. Let's remember he averaged 17 carries per game last year. Is Kyler Murray going to really run the ball that many times?
I mean, what? He's not throwing it. Who's he going to throw it to? Larry Fitzgerald's like 100. He can't catch the ball 15 times a game this year. Who else is there to throw the ball to?
I like Christian Kirk.
Oh, I mean, David Johnson, you can hand the ball off to him 30 times a game, but you're going to be losing by 40 points.
They drafted some guys. They drafted the UMass receiver, Andy Isabella. I don't really like, but they drafted 3 receivers this draft.
Yeah, but none of them really stand out. They don't really pop off the page at you, do they?
Hakeem Butler, he's like the 6'6" Iowa State guy.
Yeah, he's kind of like, for me, I don't know about you, but me thinking about drafting him, he was kind of like a project guy.
Yeah.
When's the last time a 6'6" guy got drafted and they were like ended up blowing the world apart?
By the way, that's basically their tight end, Ricky Seals-Jones, who's a converted receiver project.
Yeah, I mean, this team is it's a bunch of just project guys, basically. with the exception of the first overall pick and David Johnson.
We're going to find out if Cliff Kingsbury can coach. This is the guy who recruited Patrick Mahomes and couldn't win.
I mean, yeah, I think we're going to find out, and I think we're going to find out that they go back to the first overall pick.
We're going to find out if Josh Rosen was good or not either, because this Cardinals team is not very good.
Yeah, no, I don't think they've gotten better since last year.
Oh.
If anything, they may have gotten worse, to be 100% honest with you.
We have a Super Bowl pick, Chad, NFC representative, and then we can close it out.
Do you even really have to ask?
I actually agree with you. I'm picking Philadelphia to go back this year.
I don't have anything else to say.
Okay.
I honestly, this when the Madden rosters came out, I've already talked about this. I think they have the best, maybe not the best in certain specific areas, but overall, if you look at every individual position, put it together, they have the best roster. Yeah,
I agree.
Other teams,
I wish they had a linebacker. If they had a guy like Luke Kuechly on their team, I would stamp it. But without that guy, I don't feel 100% confident in it.
Well, that's why the Madden ratings have them as an 89 overall. The linebacker would have put them at like a 90-something.
Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, that's why I said it was very important last year when we did our free agency show, or at the end of last year, we did our free agency show. I said it's very important to bring back Jordan Hicks. Obviously,
Which they did not do.
Yeah, they didn't listen to our show, or they would have known it was important to bring back Jordan Hicks. They actually, one of their linebackers went down today in practice, I think.
Bruget Hill.
Or yeah, he went down on like Friday or something. So
MCL sprain. Out a couple weeks.
That's not that bad. He'll be back by week 1. I've done that before.
Nigel Bradham's good.
Yeah, he's good.
Zach Brown's good-ish. But they don't have that guy. It's so important to have that leader on the defense. Who is it?
It's Malcolm Jenkins.
Yeah, but where's the linebacker that's going to eat people up in the middle, and that 15-yard gain doesn't happen?
Again, I like I said, I think overall they have the best roster. There's teams in the NFC, in the AFC that, yes, they have better individuals, better specific offense or defense specifically. Like the Bears.
Nobody has a third defensive tackle like Timmy Jernigan. That's your third defensive tackle. Nobody has that.
No, not at all. But like I said, I think the Bears, yeah, they have a better defense, but their offense isn't as good. The Saints, I think the Saints probably, you could make an argument they have a better offense than the Eagles. But their defense isn't as good as the Eagles overall. So I think overall the Eagles are the best team, so I think they're going to end up in the Super Bowl. And again, maybe that's biased, maybe it's not, I don't know.
I agree. I didn't pick the Eagles last year. I picked them 2 years ago. I like them again this year.
Anything else, Trey?
That does it. AFC next week.
All right, well, like Trey said, that's about it. That'll do it. Thanks for giving us a listen. This has been The Lead Word. Check us out on VendettaSportsMedia.com. The easiest way to follow the show is the Twitter, media_Vendetta. And also, don't forget to check out YouTube. Trey will be putting all of the shows on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe and like all the shows there. Subscribe to the channel. On Facebook, you can follow us as well. VendettaSportsMedia.com is the website. Follow me at Lowfooted, LILFOOTED. And you can follow Trey at Trey Daubert, TREYDAUBERT. Again, that'll do it. We'll do the AFC previews next week. Thanks for giving us a listen, and we'll see you then.